Good morning. A public address by Korea's finance minister expressing regret over bills pending at the National Assembly as political wrangling over the Seoul bill continues. Artifacts discovered on the outskirts of Seoul reveals more than meets the eye. Arirang News' Song Ji-sun has a closer look at this discovery. A new ceasefire between Israel and Palestine, this time with no expiration date. Egypt brokers a deal celebrated by both countries. And break out of your monotonous exercise routine with the creative sports machines available on the market now. We bring you some options on Korea Today, Wednesday, August 27, 2014.
This is Korea Today.
And good morning and welcome to Korea Today on this Wednesday morning. I'm Kim Min-jung alongside Kim Young and Jin-ju. So everyone knows about the La Tomatina festival in Spain that goes on until today. And on the sidelines, there was some mudslinging going on this year alongside the tomato throwing festival.
Right. The Korean city of Goryeo, which is famous for its annual mud festival, took part in this year's La Tomatina event, setting up small mudslides and mud baths, and as you can see, air bouncers there, so that tourists from all around the world could enjoy this mud festival, even in Spain.
I say that's just all the more fun, you know, alongside the tomatoes, some mud, and just throwing at each other.
Tomatoes isn't enough, so you have to sling the mud out there and just get messy overall.
Right, getting dirty and just messy. That's a lot of fun.
That's what you call fun.
That's right. Well, we'll leave that fun story there and start this morning with the public address made by Deputy Prime Minister cum Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan. He expressed regret over the 30 bills pending at the National Assembly due to political wrangling over the so-called Seoul bill, saying the economy is fast losing steam and would be hard to resuscitate if the bills are not passed within this session.
Asked the National Assembly to display a resolute leadership that can put the people's needs first.
In the press conference, also attended by the heads of 6 government financial departments, Che said that while stocks and the real estate market are picking up, the economy is further compounded by the rising current account surplus and low growth. At least 30 bills, including one that provides support to those in the low-income bracket, are awaiting the parliamentary green light as lawmakers lock horns over the Seoul bill, which aims to reinvestigate the ferry accident that took some 300 lives.
Following the Bank of Korea's decision to lower the key interest rate to 2.25%, savings plans with higher annual interest rates at major commercial banks are flying off the shelves. Demand for savings plans offering annual interest rates of around 3% are high, and banks offering such plans say they're hitting their caps almost as quickly as they come out, with consumers resorting to a don't ask, just invest trend. Currently, the annual interest rate at major commercial bank is in the mid 2% range, but it has dropped to the 1% range for some products, which is a burden for people trying to build up their savings with interest. Though interest rates at banks are already low, financial analysts say they are expected to drop further regarding installment deposit accounts. Korea's birth rate has hit the lowest ever, according to Statistics Korea. Just 8.6 babies per 1,000 South Koreans were born last year, the lowest on record since the year 1970. There were 31.2 babies born per 1,000 people in that year when the nation began keeping records. The total number of births last year fell 9.9% to 436,500 from the previous year, a mere 1,500 more than the lowest on record in the year 2005. South Korean women were expected to give birth to 1.187 babies in their lifetime, ranking near the last in fertility worldwide. The average age of women giving birth rose to 31.84, while 1 of 5 new mothers in 2013 were over the age of 35.
The latest discovery of nearly 80 Buddhist artifacts on the outskirts of Seoul was revealed to the public last week, and some of them being the first of its kind to be found regarding Northeast Asian Buddhism. Now, the relics are known to have been used for Buddhist rituals, and experts say the techniques used to make these artifacts are best among those discovered to date. And Arirang News' Hong Ji-sun went out to the very site where the artifacts were found to bring us the details today. Good morning, Ji-sun.
Morning, Jinji. Well, they could be exaggerating, but they say it's almost equivalent as excavating a full museum, an entire museum of Buddhism during the Goryeo-dynasty, when the religion was the most powerful and flourished under the support of the government then. Let's take a closer look at what types of artifacts were discovered. At the entrance of a trail leading to summit of Dobong-Seowon mountain in northern Seoul sits Dobong-Seowon. During Korea's Joseon-dynasty, which spanned more than 500 years until the late 19th century, Dobong-Seowon acted as an institute for educating young scholars and remembering historic ones. This particular institute was dedicated to Jo Gwang-jo, a Confucian scholar who pursued radical reforms in the early 16th century. But recent discoveries at the site have people, historians in particular, looking even further back to the Goryeo-dynasty, which ruled most of the Korean peninsula between the 10th and 14th century. A total of 77 Buddhist artifacts from the Goryeo-era have been discovered here at Dobong-Seowon, a site that functioned as a Confucian academy during the Joseon-dynasty. The site, currently being restored, is set to be reopened next year. Among the dozens of artifacts excavated, one very sophisticated piece that's unique to the Goryeo-era stands out. It's this Kumgangnyeong, a bell used in Buddhist ceremonies during prayer chants. It's the first known piece in which the 4 heavenly guardians and the 5 great kings are engraved on one instrument, a first not just in Korea, but in other Northeast Asian countries where Buddhism has roots. Although these artifacts were found at an institute that was used during the Joseon-dynasty, at a time when Buddhism was suppressed to foster Confucianism, they were not hidden or destroyed.
Before transforming into an institute, the site was used as a temple in the Goryeo-era. It is assumed that these artifacts were buried as part of a ceremony to pay respect to the Buddha. These were found inside these larger pots, which helped to preserve their original shapes and materials relatively well.
After first encountering these artifacts in 2012, the excavation team spent over 2 years recovering and processing them for preservation. The preliminary report on these artifacts will now be handed over to art historians, who will conduct further studies and look for clues about Buddhist practices during the Goryeo-era.
So, Ji-sun, the most interesting part of this discovery, I would say, is that these Buddhist artifacts were discovered at a Confucian site. How is this possible?
Well, to explain that, let me give you a brief info on Buddhism history here in Korea. About a quarter of the total population is Buddhist here in Korea as of 2010. It's been more than 16 centuries since the religion was introduced into the peninsula. And actually, the era that Buddhism was the most supported and flourished was the Goryeo-era, when the Buddhism was designated as the national religion. But Buddhism was mostly suppressed in the Joseon-dynasty, as Buddhism that gained too much power was corrupted by the end of Goryeo-era, and the founders of the new state promoted Confucianism of discipline and principle instead. That's why they tear down most of the temples and rebuilt them into a Confucian academy like this one in Dobong. Now, there are many different Buddhist denominations, and these latest artifacts could prove practices of Tantric Buddhism during the Goryeo-era, which is the type now prevalent in Tibet.
And what are some of the expected steps for these discovered artifacts from now on?
Well, now it's in the hands of the Dobong District Office as well as the government for the steps proceedings with these artifacts and the latest findings. And as I just mentioned, it's just the beginning, as with the designating these artifacts into treasures, which is considered one of the most important steps as acknowledging the importance of these artifacts. Now, there are also many different labels in calling a cultural asset into treasure. And this Kumgangnyeong, the handbell, which has the high shot at being designated as national treasure, which is considered the most rare and valuable. There's still a lot to be done for Dobong-Seowon, where these artifacts were excavated to be restored and completed, as the Dobong District Office has vowed years ago. But now with this handful of artifacts of Buddhist legacies has been discovered, I think there's also a chance that there could be an exhibition hall or museum that could be built on the site, which could be embracing Confucianism and Buddhism on the same historic site.
It is definitely a rare and valuable discovery. Thank you, Joseon, for that report this week.
Pleasure.
Good Wednesday morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. And all the local papers this morning feature the deep clash between the government and the main opposition party, the New Politics Alliance for Democracy. So let's kick it off with that story here on 동아일보 first. And it's a top headline. You did hear about this earlier on in the program's headlines as well. But yesterday, there was a vividly contrasting scene in the political arena, as shown in the title. Government appeals for people's livelihoods. An opposition party walks out for the Seoul bill. And that is being depicted in these two images here. On the left is Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan making a public address. And on the right is the opposition party holding rallies, going into a full-on boycott mode. Now, the 19th National Assembly ground to a halt yesterday due to conflict over this special bill. And it is noted here underneath the images that Minister Choi strongly urged the rival parties to pass some 30 pending bills related to helping the economy and the people's needs first. On the other end of the spectrum, however, the number one opposition party held protests, stressing that the Seoul bill is the most urgent bill that needs to be passed. Now, it demanded the ruling Saenuri party to accept its proposal regarding the bill, as well as criticize the Saenuri party, along with the Park Geun-hye administration, to respond to the needs of the bereaved families. And next up is 중앙일보. We'll take a look at the top story here, also regarding the Seoul disaster. So this seems to be one of the first articles that actually spell out in detail how much it will cost to settle the mess and cleanup after the Seoul accident. The headline reads, more than $600 million needed in the aftermath of the Seoul ferry tragedy. Now, these figures here, as said in the sub-headlines, are estimated by the government, with opinions of the opposition party also having been reflected. Now, if we take a look at this pie chart, this dark blue area here, the darkish black area represents the cost needed in coping with the accident's aftermath, including search, salvage, and rescue operations, which adds up to about $400 million. Now, in the meantime, the orange and green and red parts here are the costs needed in taking care of and supporting the families of the victims, which add up to be more than $200 million. So all of that put together, more than $600 million is expected to be needed to settle the Seoul ferry incident. And now let's move away from the Seoul incident and go to other domestic news on Joseon-ilbo. We'll take a look at this one on the side. And this one is about a phenomenon called the student poor, and the article is titled "Job Preparations Causing Piles of Debt, 340,000 People Considered Student Poor." Now, student poor here refers to those students who are saturated in an era of poverty due to increasing debt from preparing to find jobs in today's Korean society. Now, if you take a look at the sub-headlines, it notes that it takes more than $41 million just to build up one's qualifications and abilities throughout university years to be able to apply for a job. And once one fails in finding a job, then the whole vicious cycle of poverty continues right on. And also, if you take a look at this image inserted inside of those seekers, job seekers in their 20s, 11%, or about 340,000 people, belong to this student poor bracket. And what's worse is that because of all of the mounting debt, the student poor continue to suffer from extreme poverty for quite some time, even after finding a job. And going to our last daily for a look at the Mail Business newspaper. Take a look at this on the side about a Kakao Line merger, and this title says Kakao Line merger to trigger mobile revolution and shake up existing industry. Now, it looks like Daum, Korea's #2 internet portal, and Kakao, the country's biggest mobile messenger operator, will be holding a shareholders meeting at their head offices today to approve the merger of the two companies. And the merged entity is expected to bring about another mobile big bang by competing with Line, a free messaging application made by Naver, the country's #1 internet portal. Now, experts forecast that Daum and Kakao will create the Kara, or Kakao Line effect, with Line, the world's third biggest mobile messenger with 370 million users. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Wednesday. And now coming up are the stock numbers from Tuesday.
All right, we've been getting some rain forecasts here and there, but it just has not been raining that consistently here in the capital.
Let's get a closer look at today's weather conditions with our Chun Sung-cho, who joins us from outdoors. Good morning to you, Sung-cho.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yes, the rain continues today, but fortunately, not much is forecast for the southern regions where they're still recovering from the damages caused by the record-setting rainfall in the past couple of days. Some precipitation is still lingering in the southwest part of the peninsula, and there's even a chance of showers with thunder and lightning in the afternoon. Rainfall up to 60 millimeters in Jeollanam-Bukdo provinces and Jeju, and 30 millimeters in parts of the inland areas in the west is expected. With all of this rain expected to move out by the end of the day, sunny and hot conditions will be back for the rest of the week. Temperatures are back up, almost hitting the 30 in some areas. With that, let's take a closer look at the temperature readings. A good amount of sun should be warming up the entire peninsula, especially the central regions. Seoul will be the hottest with midday highs of 29, with other cities around the upper 20s. Gangneung will be the coolest at 24 degrees Celsius. This is all for me with the weather forecast. Back to you, Minjang.
Let's now get a check on the global headlines we're following on this hump day. We have our Eunice Kim standing by at the news center. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Minjung.
A new ceasefire has been reached between Israel and Palestine, and this time it doesn't have an expiration date for a change. It might be a bit premature to say this, but could this mean the fighting is slowly coming to an end?
Well, perhaps this could be the beginning to the end, Minjung. An open-ended truce is how it was described by one Hamas official. The long-term truce went into effect 7 p.m. local time, and joyful Palestinians poured into the streets to celebrate the news. The 7 weeks of heavy fighting, as you know, had a heavy toll on Palestinians, who made up most of the more than 2,200 people reported to have died in the conflict, and tens of thousands of others in Gaza have been left homeless. Egypt, which had brokered the deal, said the contents of the ceasefire included an easing of the Gaza blockade, opening border crossings for aid and reconstruction materials to pass through, and extending the fishing limit to 6 nautical miles from 3 nautical miles. But the tough issues still remain. Hamas wants to build an airport and seaport in Gaza, but Israel says not unless the militant group disarms completely. Just one of those big issues there. All sides have agreed to return to Cairo for more talks within the next month, according to the Associated Press. A United Nations helicopter has been shot down in rural South Sudan, killing 3 people on board. The deceased were Russian citizens, and there is a report of 1 survivor, according to the UN. The cargo chopper crashed near Bentiu, a hotly contested region between the government and rebel fighters who have been engaged in fighting since December. A spokesman for a state governor said a rebel commander had warned the UN not to fly over that territory last week. week. The UN said it is investigating the crash.
Right, and getting a check on the Ebola outbreak, Korea's foreign ministry has issued a travel warning after Congo confirmed deaths from the Ebola virus. Tell us more.
Right. This special travel warning was announced yesterday, and it applies only to the Equator province of the Democratic Republic of Congo. It is good for 1 week initially and automatically extends until a further cancellation notice. Seoul's foreign ministry urged Koreans living in the northern province to move themselves as well out to another region for now. Meanwhile, in England, the first Briton to contract Ebola in decades, William Pooley is his name. He has received the experimental drug ZMapp, according to reports. The volunteer nurse had become infected while working with patients in Sierra Leone. Now, healthcare workers, obviously on the front lines of this battle against the unprecedented Ebola outbreak. The World Health Organization now saying more than 240 doctors and nurses in West Africa have fallen sick to the virus, with about half of that, about 120 ultimately paying with their lives. And with that, we'll wrap your look at the global headlines we are following this morning.
And still to come on Korea Today, a drink that helps you get over your hangovers. Some people just swear by it. Dawn 808 leaves competitors in the dust. We'll take a look at the secrets behind the company's success on Strike Gold.
A hangover drink. Well, maybe Psy could use a little bit of that, right? But in the box office, in the Korean box office, the movie Roaring Currents has been setting various records, and it is right now at the height of it all, and it's even opened up in North American theaters. But with this taking all the attention, we haven't really had a chance to see some of the other box office hits or to-be hits, and our Im Yoon-hee joins us with more on that. Good morning.
Good morning. Right, so Roaring Currents. I mean, 16 million admissions as of last Sunday.
I love how you say it. You're really roaring it.
It is Roaring Currents, roaring everything else away. But we can't forget about the other movies. So the Pucheon International Fantastic Film Festival, which took place this past July, featured some very unique Korean films, and they're finally opened in the box offices here. So let's take a look. Eunjin is struggling with her love life. After being dumped by her 6th boyfriend, she finds herself in despair until she meets the sweet and charming Hyun-suk. Their relationship blossoms and she finds herself in love. They even get engaged. Everything seems perfect, that is, until she begins to suspect him of hiding a secret. But what she discovers is enough to send anybody running. Will she be able to keep her 7th, and what she is hoping is her final relationship together? Now, in this thriller horror movie, director Park Kyu-taek sets the stage at a luxury resort that just happens to be situated near an abandoned mine. A group of friends start their weekend expecting to have a good time, but they run into trouble when they accidentally kill a man who has been ranting about a curse. They try to dispose of his body in the coal mine, but they begin to realize that they're not alone.
내용 자체가 이제 터널에 갇히면서 시작이 되기 때문에
Because the storyline itself is confined in the tunnels, the characters that initially appear weak turn out to show their character when they're confronted by an extreme situation.
이걸 좀 보실 수 있을 것 같아요.
Oh, a little creepy scene there.
A little bit of a scary movie.
But the theaters, the box office is still hot with Roaring Currents, and it's just, everyone seems to be flocking into that. Some theaters are showing, are dedicating 2 to even 3 theaters just for that film, right? So with that in mind, how have some of these other films that you just showed us been faring against Roaring Currents?
So the tunnel actually brought in 20,000 admissions, and My Ordinary Love Story brought in half of that, so obviously nowhere near Roaring Currents. But you know, My Ordinary Love Story actually is said to be a very unique romantic comedy. People are really saying that it really does take a turn, and so it starts off as a very cute love story, and then this new secret that is opened up really puts a twist on this movie, and so people are very excited about that. And it has been receiving some attention, so we'll have to see where it goes from there. So hopefully these 2 movies will be able to get out of the shadow of Roaring Currents.
Okay, well, speaking of attention. Pirates is another film that's
Right.
kind of on par with the Roaring Currents type of theme, right?
Right.
But I would imagine that also audiences, because of what happened in April, many audiences might actually not be a little bit too comfortable with that, or maybe a little tired of that scenery.
Right. So this past weekend, actually, for the first time, Pirates actually came in above Roaring Currents, and so these three movies, The Fog and Pirates and Roaring Currents, are both they both take place on the high seas, and so it said people were a little bit skeptical about how it was going to be received by the public. But in fact, they are doing very well, and I think in fact people are getting ready for a change in the movie scene, and so we'll have to see how these two romantic comedy, horror movies, we'll have to see how this plays out.
Okay, well, summer is over. Summer is usually the time for the horror films, right? So I believe that autumn will bring a lot of the romantic comedies, as you mentioned. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Always a pleasure.
And still ahead on Korea Today, we're going to look at some exercise equipment or golf swing equipment, things that'll help you out with certain sports there. Today, coming up later on our Hot Items segment, people are no longer just satisfied of your run-of-the-mill sports equipment. Unique exercise machines that are as fun as they are challenging. And if you've hit a workout plateau, then you'll want to check out what's coming up on Hot Items.
And time to see what's trending online. A bike rally that took place last Sunday was heavily criticized online for taking up just too many car lanes and causing major traffic and inconvenience.
Right. And to this, the organizers of the event issued a formal apology yesterday on their club website. For more on this and other keywords, Seo Mi-soorang joins us from the digital room. Good morning,
Good
Mi-soorang.
morning.
Good morning, guys. That's right. So this cycling club called Dosa explained that they did have prior permission to use all the lanes for certain sections of their route, but that many of their some 700 participants misunderstood this and took up all the lanes beyond these predetermined sections. They owned up to their mistake, said they were sorry, and promised that such mishaps don't occur again. Meanwhile, many are reserving Ko-bus or express bus tickets for the upcoming Chuseok holiday. And the Ice Bucket Challenge is still high up on the search rankings with at least a few big names taking part every day. So the latest is actress Kim Tae-hee, who decided to forego the ice water but made a donation and wrote a heartwarming message of encouragement for the ALS patients. And now with the latest torrential rain down south causing dozens of cars to become submerged, tips on what to do in this kind of situation made the rounds online. So let's check what they are. 1. Prevention is key. If there's a localized heavy rain advisory in effect, it's just simply best not to drive. 2. If the car starts becoming submerged while you're driving, steer it away to a safer location. But 3. If there's so much water that the engine automatically shuts off, don't try to restart the car. Abandon the vehicle and walk yourself to a safer location. And wrapping up, today is the last Wednesday of this month, which means that it is Culture Day. Now, if you've never heard of this before, this Culture Day, you're not alone because according to a recent survey, 8 out of 10 Koreans had never heard of this before and had no idea what it was about. So let's check it out. This past January, the government said, let's make the last Wednesday of every month a Culture Day and encourage people to enjoy cultural activities. Now, the main way they do this is by working with various private and public organizations to provide free or discounted admissions to concerts and events. So, for example, today, the Korean National Opera is holding a free gala concert for some 500 lucky people. For more information, go to the website below, or for English, check out the Culture Ministry website. There's a lot of information and a long list of all the discounts and free admissions available, so definitely do check it out. And with that, it's a wrap for today's edition of your Daily News Sum Up.
And a good Wednesday morning to you all as we kick things off with the South Korean Little League World Series team as they received a congratulatory message from President Park Geun-hye herself. Now, the South Korean Little League team, who said they wanted to meet President Park Geun-hye after their Little League World Series victory, got a personal message from the president. She stated that the entire nation is proud of their feat and that their victory meant that much more since it was their first in 29 years. Now, she added that she hopes to see the team grow and continue their success. Now, meanwhile, staying in baseball, some bad news for Choo Shin-soo of the Texas Rangers as the season came to an end after his team decided to perform surgery on his elbow. The South Korean slugger, who signed a 7-year, $130 million deal during the past offseason, will get surgery on his left elbow in 2 weeks. The bone spur, which has been bothering him throughout the season, was known by the team during spring training as the team decided on the surgery with the team nowhere near playoff contention. Meanwhile, he's set to rehab for 8 weeks after the surgery. Now, meanwhile, more injury news for another big-name star, this time in the UFC, where the Korean zombie Chung Chang-sung will miss his fight slated for October after injuring his shoulder during training. The 27-year-old fighter, who's currently ranked 6th in the featherweight class, injured the same shoulder he has been rehabbing since his title fight against Jose Aldo 1 year ago. His manager stated that the rehab will take about a month and he will plan to finally return to the UFC in December. And now finally finishing things off with some Tuesday night KBO action. We had the 2 Seoul games rain out last night as the Kia Tigers and the Nexon Heroes were rained out, as well as the Tucson Bears and the LG Twins. But the Samsung Lions were able to cruise past the Lotte Giants 10-7. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the Hanwha Eagles take on the NC Dinos. And of course, going into the game, here we go over to the first inning of the game. Eric Thames with an RBI double to left scores Pang Min-woo, and the NC Dinos take the lead 1-0. But in the bottom of the inning, man on second, Song Kwang-min RBI single to right, and we're tied 1-1. Bottom of the fourth inning, 2-man on Song Kwang-min once again. This one a 2-run single to left, and the Hanwha Eagles take the lead 3-1. Ninth inning, NC down 3-2 with the bases loaded and 2-men out. Lee Sang-ho at bat. And here we go, the pitch and call strike 3. Ball game over. The Hanwha Eagles win this one 3-2. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
So what is Sai's new favorite drink?
Yamyeong 808.
That's right, Dawn 808.
Snoop Dogg as well.
That's right, the hangover drink that purportedly helps you get over your hangover. Some people swear by it, others are a little more skeptical. We'll learn more about this drink and the company behind this drink with Jessie Day joining us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here. And yeah, that's right, the hangover remedy drink market started in the early 90s in Korea and has since reached a 200 billion won industry with large conglomerates as well as foreign companies getting in on the action. But what we're talking about today is a particular company called Glammy and their very popular hangover remedy, Dawn 808. So let's take a look at how they made success on this week's Strike Gold. There's no better advertisement than giving out free samples. The makers of Dawn 808 have been holding free tasting events at K-League stadiums. We visited one such event to hear what tasters thought of Dawn 808, and the heat was already on.
It tastes like herbal medicine.
Whenever we have office gatherings, I make sure to drink Dawn 808 first.
They should have held the event at night when they're ready to go to drink.
Dawn 808 currently takes up about 30% of the market share, neck to neck with other products made by giant conglomerates. The legend all began with a certain TV commercial, as we'll see in just a moment here, enjoying a shot of Dawn 808 there. So one of the reasons Dawn 808 drew so much attention at first was this addictive TV ad featuring retro styles and a funny jingle. But inside this small can is a myriad of amazing technology. Since its creation in 1998, Dawn 808 has acquired over 10 patents both at home and abroad, and the name Dawn 808 is also a proud product of its inventor.
I chose the word dawn to represent a fresh new dawn even the day after drinking, and 808 because the product was successfully created on the 808th try. after hundreds of failures. It's a result of extremely hard work.
That's the man on the can.
Yes.
Hard work and a lot of drinking.
So the ingredients are carefully selected over the course trial experiments with medicinal herbs. Digging through medical books and records of folk remedies, ingredients known to help relieve hangovers were collected and put through hundreds of tests to find the perfect ratio and combination. Thanks to such hard work, after 807 unsuccessful attempts, came the breakthrough at trial 808, and Dawn 808 was born.
When alcohol breaks down in the body, acetaldehyde is created and causes the hangover. The main ingredients of Dawn 808, mountain ash and alder tree, are very effective in breaking down acetaldehyde.
With such great ingredients, the effects can't help but be great. Other products show little difference with water in terms of their effects on breaking down the acetaldehyde, but as you can see from this chart, Dawn 808 is quick to get to work and much more effective as well. Aside from the superb ingredients, another notable thing about Dawn 808 is its aluminum can container. Unlike glass or plastic bottles, these cans can be sterilized at extremely high temperatures, extremely high pressure, and extremely low temperatures, thereby eliminating the need for preservatives. Thanks to being made with such great ingredients without any added preservatives or other chemical compounds, Dawn 808 was able to expand its distribution and is now exported to 17 different countries worldwide, and that all came about within 20 years of its development since the company started. As you can see here, exported to many locations overseas now.
Across continents.
Ghana. So on the back of the success of Dawn 808, Glammy has now grown into a mid-size health products business with annual sales of 50 billion won. And of course, the people of Glammy deserve recognition for its success too. Perhaps it's the company's love for its employees that kept them with the company through all its challenges and risks. And they've got a full health facility there for the employees. Everything from weights to a ping pong game there.
Do you know if they're hiring anytime soon?
During breaks or after work, I play sports with my co-workers. I think it helps us feel like more of a team and also helps increase our work efficiency. It's a great source of energy.
And even a jjimjilbang, look at that.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's Glammy's company philosophy that a company can only create products that satisfy consumers when its employers are satisfied. Employees. The top-notch employee facility and other supports won Glammy its recognition as the SME with the happiest employees by the Labor Ministry. Glammy now develops innovative products in other fields such as burn treatments and stamina enhancers, holding over 50 patents and some 400 intellectual properties. It may not have been easy for an SME to focus so much on R&D with just the technical skills as the goal. But even today, the founder of Glammy says he dreams of new dreams as he looks over the countless patents that he's collected since 1970. He wants to be known not as an entrepreneur, but rather as a dreamer and an inventor.
I believe that patents and technology will be the strongest weapon for the Korean economy. I hope that everyone in Korea, men and women, young and old, will make invention a part of their lives.
Dawn 808 is the masterpiece of Glammy, the firm that's all about technique, quality, and satisfaction, and maybe it won't be long until the name is known all over the globe.
All right, so we have the drinks right there.
Absolutely.
Right in front of you, and some of the herbal ingredients that's involved in the process of making this Dawn 808.
Yeah.
But a lot of things go into that drink.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But okay, I can understand why it's so expensive, but it's more expensive than your conventional hangover drinks, right?
That's
Is there any way, is there any maybe a price rearrangement in the future?
Well, unfortunately not really, but fortunately the reason for that is because it's all top quality herbal products. And as you saw in the video, there's not even a drop of any sort of chemical additive or preservative. So it makes it a step above the rest of the competition. So for Glammy, they're more interested in comparing the quality of their product as opposed to the price, because the quality is really where it shines through.
Can I just smell the drink? I've
drink.
never had this
Really?
before,
Oh,
but
really?
one
Taste.
burning question.
It tastes like herb medicine, Oriental
Right.
herbal medicine.
Right, yeah.
Definitely like hanyak, right? Herbal medicine.
So how's that
is
helping your hangover?
It's working wonders here now. One burning question though. I mean, are you supposed to drink it before you're drinking, binge drinking, or after? I'm really confused.
Well, yeah, a lot of different hangover remedies will tell you right on the packaging, whether it's a bottle or can, if you should drink it before or after. Now with Dawn 808, it actually works either way equally as effectively.
A great business motto there.
Yeah.
Before and after, by two.
Right. Even in between, some people drink.
Sure, yeah, in the middle. Why not?
Take it from Jinju.
Yeah, well, the herbal compounds in Dawn 808 either will help absorb the alcohol if you're doing it before drinking, and it will help to detoxify and break it down the next morning. And now they do recommend you drink it chilled as well to quench that thirst. And they have this other product here, Dawn 1004, and this is more of a concentrated, stronger version, so they recommend mixing that with ice as well.
Nice. But frankly speaking, looking at this can design with the picture creator right in the middle, it looks quite outdated, and the commercial as well. It's kind of retro with all
those
these
women dancing
and the jingles in that commercial. But did they intended this, or like did it come out from?
Yeah, how did they come out with this concept? I mean,
it's almost cheesy, some people would say, right?
Cheesy
But
is
the
the
point
best word, I
is, yeah, it gets stuck in your head and you remember it. Now, Glammy knew when they made Dawn 808, when they'd finally perfected the formula on the 808th try, that they had a winning product that they knew worked. But they didn't want to just sit back and hope that it spread through word of mouth. They wanted to be proactive and find a fun way to market it. So they came up with this retro, crazy advertisement with a catchy jingle, you know, with the CEO there, standing there, and so people would recognize him as well. And, you know, it absolutely worked. And the CEO himself said that he knew it would be successful when he started seeing people humming and singing the jingle almost, you know, without thinking about it, like we do with a lot of commercial jingles. And from that moment, you know, people tried the product and they found out it worked, and so word of mouth was able to spread as well.
And it was good to see that the company was treating its employees well, very well, in fact, with the swimming pools and all. But it's also giving back to the community as well.
Yeah, not only giving back to the community, but giving something overseas as well. Now, first of all, in the Cheolwon area, Glammy has been providing meals for underprivileged students in both middle schools, high schools, colleges, and even on military bases as well. So they're really making strides to give back to their community in Cheolwon. But not only that, they have donated some $4.5 million worth of burn wound treatment medicine to war-torn regions such as Afghanistan, Lebanon, and Guatemala, to help those people there who are victims of the war. So that's quite an amazing feat. They're also going to be setting up a public service foundation to be able to provide more aid, more humanitarian aid, and give even more back to the community on a regular basis. So you cannot feel bad supporting a company like that.
Something tells me that these kids who benefit from the scholarship will grow up to learn to drink responsibly too, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
just for the good cause. I mean, for drink responsibility is
That's
really the
key.
key
That's
word.
Don't drink too much, right?
And either way, you can drink Dawn 808 the next day, and it'll help you feel a lot better.
So is that for us?
Yes, please. Yeah, take
Friday
it home
is
for your night out
approaching,
tonight.
so-
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jessie.
Thank you,
Jessie.
Thank you.
And we have a horse joining us in the studio,
Yes,
right?
that's
A blue
right.
horse, in fact.
Mr. Ed joins us over there, and this is a horse that you can actually have in your living room. if you can actually get it in there. Right? It's rather big.
And
now we're going to go over to our SJ Lee as well as Hami Sorang for our hot items for today, and you're going to be pretty amazed.
Over to you guys.
Actually, his name is not Ed, it's Pico the Popo. I've named it before the show.
Sorry. No disrespect there.
Well, we'll talk about the horse a little bit later and who Pico the Popo is. But of course, the evenings and the mornings are a lot cooler now. And I think a lot of people do want to go out there and exercise a little bit.
Exactly. I mean, I'm still hitting the boring old gym, but these days it's the more unusual and unique sports that are getting popular.
You know, one of the problems that I personally have, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people do have as well, is the same old boring exercise machines, right? Whether it be the treadmill or the stationary bicycles.
Yeah.
But today we're not going to go through that. I hope you like horses. I hope our viewers like horses as well, because our first item here is the horseback equipment, and it's nice and blue. Like I said, his name is Pico the Popo.
Pico the Popo. So it's blue, but it still looks like pretty much like a horse.
That's right, and this is the Fortis P3. And what's interesting about this equipment is the fact that it's globally recognized and also internationally patented for being able to completely duplicate each and every movement that a horse would.
Okay, how exactly does it duplicate that?
So basically, it makes all the moves that a horse would, right? Except for the smell, obviously, which is great, I think. And it has the forward and back movements as well as the up and down movements as well. And it has that swing motion, the rhythm that an actual horse would have, an actual riding that would actually take place. So you see how it works right now. If you take a look at the video, it makes kind of the same movements that an actual horse would. Exactly, and of course, like I mentioned, no smell here. And it's going to be quite interesting, and what's surprising is it's actually a big workout as well.
Okay, so are you going to give us a little demonstration now?
I'm going to try this. Of course, I've never ridden a horse before, but I'm going to try it. It's my good friend Pico the Popo. Once I said, like I said, a lot of people might think this is a game. Of course, it could also be a game as well, but it's also a very nice exercise machine. Thank you very much. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it so that I can choose which level we're going to go to. All right, so here we go. It's going to start now.
Your horse is there.
I'm going to hold my horse, and it also has 20 different speeds. So if I'm a little bit scared, and I'm a scaredy cat, I'm going to go slow down. But let's say I want to go a little bit faster, and here we go. And posture is very important. Surprisingly, my lower half of the body is actually doing a huge workout right now. Wow. And I can also move left and right. I'm controlling the horse right now.
Are you hurting the horse by holding on to the mane, though? I mean, aren't you supposed to hold on to the handle?
I hope his hair doesn't hurt, right? But this is going to be the fastest I'm going to go without...
Not going to go any faster?
No, I could actually go slow down if I get a little bit scared, but it does work out my body. In fact, I actually feel the burn right now. I'm going to cut it short a little bit.
I can see your face turning red and sweating a bit.
It's actually a huge workout right now. Ooh, here we go.
It reminds me of one of those bull riding machines.
You're right.
Alrighty.
All right, so I've gotten down, but of course I think a lot of people might go, hey, I can't fit this into my house.
Not in my house, definitely not.
I can certainly not fit this into my house. So what happens? You have a more compact and more portable version. This is the Fortis Seoul, which actually has a trotting kind of effect with the horse minus the head and the blueness.
The color. So it's the same deal, just smaller.
That's right, exactly. So this is, as you can see, my face is a lot red.
And he's running out of breath.
I'm running out of breath. It is a great workout for your lower body and also very fun as well. So why don't you tell us a different exercise machine?
Okay, so the one I've brought here is from Arirang Industries. It's a swing practice device. Now, I'm going to need your help with this one, SJ.
All right, so this is great because there's actually a lot of golf fans out here in Korea, and I know sometimes you can't go out to the field because it is expensive, and you might want to watch out here. And what's great about this is the fact that there's actually an LCD screen here which shows you the direction of the ball and also the speed as well. As you can see, the ball is actually hanging right now, so it's not going to go out into the studio, so don't worry guys, I'm not going to shoot it to you guys. And basically, I'm going to grab an iron because there's different settings in this, of course, equipment here, and because I'm going to set it at an iron, and of course the video also shows that it's an iron as well, I've picked up, here it goes, a 7-iron, and I'm going to use a 7-iron right now. I'm not going to do a full swing, and my golf skill isn't all that great, but let's see what they're able to do here. And yeah, there's a swing.
Nice shot.
And
great
basically,
form.
it says here that it went 144 yards.
Yeah, so there's a digital sensor. Oh,
And
did
it
you hear
booed me
that?
because it wasn't a good song. It booed me, so I'm not the best of golfers here.
Yeah, so there's a digital sensor underneath the rubber mat that analyzes your swing and says it's a slice, straight, or a hook. And as you mentioned, it also gives you the driving distance and displays it on the LCD screen there.
Right, exactly. And also I talked about how exercises, posture is very important as well. And when it comes to golf, you know, there's so many things that go into a single swing. In golf and posture here, this also, you can practice your posture when it comes to swinging.
Exactly.
What's our next item?
So that was our swing practice device. This one is for putting practice. Now,
but here's the thing though, I feel like this is like every other putting mat though.
Oh, okay. But on the surface it does, but this one I'll show you. I started over there, but because I'm not I'm gonna go with a 50.
Okay.
So if I do it like
a little bit too hard. Let's go. Try that again.
How bad do you have to
Trust me,
Are you trying to drive
is the hardest part. All right, here we go, Misorang.
Oh.
A little bit.
Okay, you got that in
And
there.
it pops back,
yeah,
right?
so as you saw,
Spit it
it
right
pops
back out.
right back, so you don't have to go back and forth. So hopefully.
Come on, third time's a charm. And
Okay, I'll give it to SK.
okay, the thing is, it actually makes a very nice sound if you make the putt in, but the thing
Which
is...
I didn't.
Right, exactly. So if it goes down the middle, it's actually going to have this very nice swing. And you know what? Putting is the worst part of my game, so hopefully I could get this one right as well. So it goes straight.
Right. There you go. That's the sound it's supposed to make.
Sound.
And also it bounces back, so you could actually use this by yourself at home when you don't have
For
friends like
non-stop
me.
fun.
So this is definitely another equipment that you can use at home as well to perfect your golf game. But
exactly.
our last and final item that we're going to take a look at here on Hot Item is something that's very interesting, and this is called the Powerizer. All right, so you might be going, whoa, Powerizer sounds quite interesting, right? It's a combination of two different words, power and also riser. So here, you take a look at here. It's not too heavy neither, right? So let's take a look at this video right now. Basically, the way that it works is a patented glass fiber, right? And it uses the user's weight to kind of have that spring-like action. It goes bouncing up and down and has that vertical energy. And believe it or not, it's actually a great workout that a lot of people are looking into. And we're looking at a user here, and you know, it takes a little bit of time to get used to. But look at them, you can actually jump as high as 2 meters and as far as 3 meters. And I can't do that, but also it's a very good workout as well. And a lot of people are saying that you can actually run as fast as 30 kilometers per hour. Now, of course, you know, like I mentioned, this is not only an extreme workout as well. This is also a good way to kind of work out and jog casually and only if you... Well, okay, fine. You have to practice a little bit. Personally, I failed. So
are we going to see some action on your part?
Yeah, but we did have a go yesterday.
Right.
But I think we had witnesses to say that I was a little bit better than SJ.
A lot of people may... Whoa, I can't contest to that. But there's one person we can't contest to, and we're actually going to invite an expert here who will show us how this Powerizer actually works out. So let's invite over.
Enter, please.
Enter the Powerizer. And notice he has the helmet, he has the elbow pads and the knee pads as well. And as you can see, a lot of people might go, how is this a workout, right? It just looks fun, but you know what? I've tried it and it requires a lot of balancing act. And so basically there's a lot of pressure on your abs. So not only is it an ab work, it's also a full body workout where you're actually, you know, from what I understand, it's 5 times tougher than just jogging itself. So hopefully you'll be able to lose 5 times more weight, right?
More faster.
That's right. So, you know, a lot of people might be showing this, using this as a way of kind of extreme sports and show off. And of course, we saw the video where they were just
where they were doing tumblings and jumping back. We couldn't really do that, but...
We're not going to do this. But once again, if you want to have a try in this one, it's a great way for an exercise. Like I said, 5 times better than just jogging. But I think it takes a little bit more getting used to and getting used to as well. So once again, thank you very much to our expert here for the Powerizer.
Thank you.
And those were your looks at some of the more interesting sports equipments that you can try if you're bored with the old stuff, right?
Okay, are we gonna
do you want to come back? Have a go?
Horse riding.
I'm not gonna have a go on that thing, but
I know Young's a huge fan of golfing. You're pretty good, right?
Yeah,
maybe you don't need to practice here.
Ooh, let's see.
Let's try this now.
Let's see Young
before
do
we
this.
do, before
Get
we
it in
do,
the hole.
Yeah, before we do, though, we are going to have to say goodbye.
I just have one joke to tell.
Okay.
What's Sai's new favorite ride?
Oh.
All right. I just have to get that in there. All right, well, that brings us to the end of this edition of Korea Today.
All right, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7.
Thank you for watching, and do some exercise today.
That's right, horse riding. Thanks.
Your putting skills.
I'm not very good these days.